The handshake was firm, the smiles were measured, but the tension in the room was unmistakable. Seated side by side at the White House, Donald Trump and Emmanuel Macron attempted to project unity. Instead, their deepening divisions over Ukraine took center stage, exposing a widening transatlantic rift with global consequences. Then came Trump's explosive remark. Europe is loaning the money to Ukraine. They'll get their money back. Macron's response was swift and blunt. The French president wasn't about to let that claim go unanswered.
Europe is loaning the money to Ukraine. They get their money back.
No, in fact, to be frank, we paid 60% of the total effort, and it was through, like the US, loans, guarantee, grants, and we provided real money. To be clear, okay. We have 230 billion frozen assets in Europe, Russian assets, but this is not as a collateral of a loan because this is not our belonging. So they are frozen. If at the end of the day, in the negotiation we will have with Russia, they're ready to give it to us, super. It will be loan at the end of the day, and Russia will have paid for that.
The exchange, sharp and revealing, set the stage for a meeting defined by fundamental disagreements. Trump, determined to push for a fast-tracked ceasefire, hinted at direct negotiations with Moscow, signaling a potential shift in US policy. But Macron fired back, warning against rushing into what he called a weak peace deal. We want peace, he wants peace, Macron said, his words pointed yet deliberate. We want peace swiftly, but we don't want an agreement that is weak. The French president made it clear. Europe was ready to engage, but on its own terms, and not at the cost of long-term stability.
We want peace. He wants peace. We want peace swiftly, but we don't want an agreement that is weak. The fact that there are Europeans that are ready to engage, to provide for these security guarantees.
Macron's warning wasn't just about Ukraine, it was about the future of NATO itself. Security guarantees, he insisted, require transatlantic coordination. Europe could not stand alone. We do need this American backup, he stressed, in what sounded like a plea to Washington not to abandon its allies.
I think it's useful to have negotiation. I think it's super important to go to the peace. But my strong point was to say, let's try to get something first which can be assessed, checked and verified. And let's be sure that we build sufficient guarantees on the short run. And this is where we are ready to be engaged. As for France, a lot of my European colleagues are ready to be engaged. But we do need this American backup because this is part of the credibility of the security guarantees.
Then, the most stunning moment of the meeting. Trump, once again, refused to call Russian President Vladimir Putin a dictator, despite having branded Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky one just days earlier. Macron wasted no time, delivering a scathing indictment of the Russian leader. President Putin violated the peace, he declared, making Europe's stance clear. Russia remains the aggressor. The meeting, Macron's first, with Trump since his return to the White House, came at a critical juncture. With British Prime Minister Keir Starmer set to visit Washington next, Europe is now on edge, bracing for a potential transatlantic realignment that could shake NATO to its core. The question is no longer whether the US and its allies see eye to eye. It's whether Washington's shifting priorities will leave Europe stranded. As the dust settles from this fiery showdown, one thing is certain: the divide between the US and Europe has never been more glaring.